Welcome to episode 109 of the Red River Horror Podcast. We are not clowning around with this new episode as we interview writer, director, actor Joseph Kelly as he prepares for the third installment of the Clown Motel movie franchise. So sit back, relax, and let's go down those channels of fear here on episode 109 on the Red River Horror Podcast. And welcome back to the Red River Horror Podcast, episode number 109. I am your host, Joe Zakrisky, joined as always by RedRiverHorror.com founder, Eddie Cayazzo. Hey, Ed, how are you?
Joe, I ain't clowning around today, brother.
Me neither, because we have a special guest with us. Writer, director, and even an actor in Clown Motel 1, 2, and soon to be 3, Joseph Kelly. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Joe and Eddie, for having me. Great to be here, and should be fun.
I'm always excited to meet somebody who comes in the horror, like just in the film industry, out of crowdfunding and just that grind that comes through with it. So very, very happy to have you here. Very excited to hear what you have to say and what Clown Motel, what we can expect from Clown Motel 3. I've saw a couple different names out there, but I don't know if you have an official title yet, but we'll get to that when we get there.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
So, Joe Z, it's important to note, all right? So, way back. Now, this is going back to the beginning of the website. Clown Motel was one of the first features on the website. It's something that I had an inside track on because I knew one of the people in the film. So when this whole process started, like Clown Motel, the first one, like I never knew there was an actual clown hotel and what that whole thing was about. So I got an education really fast, very cool, in the very beginning of starting the website. And honestly, Clown Motel, to me, the first film, it's near and dear to my heart because it was like almost the beginning of Red River Horror at the same exact time. So very cool. And Joseph Kelly, we have a lot of questions, and I'll just say that one of the things we like to do on the Red River Horror Podcast is, yes, we want to learn all about the film as much as we can without spoiling, but we also want to learn some of the trade secrets because Joe and I could use that information. So don't worry if we ask some technical questions. If you're like, guys, can we keep it about
I like that stuff, so yeah, ask away.
All right.
Well, my first question, though, what was the clown or why clowns? What led you in that direction?
Well, this was actually back in 2014, 2015. I traveled across country maybe like 10, 15 times. And then I came across this place in Tonopoh, Nevada, the middle of nowhere. You know, it's about 4 hours from Las Vegas. And between it's Area 51. What could go wrong with that? But you have Clown Motel. You look it up, and there was no feature films ever done about it, just the Ghost Hunter adventures.
Yeah. So straight from the hotel out in Nevada?
Yep, pretty much saw it. I'm like, this would be a pretty cool movie. And pretty much I stayed in the Clown Motel. There was a cemetery right next door that was actually there before the Clown Motel, which is strange. So the cemetery is actually 1900 and 1910, and the Clown Motel was actually built around 1970. So someone just saw like a cemetery, like, hey, why not build a Clown Motel like right on the doorsteps?
I mean, that's a double whammy. I don't think I'd sleep very well there.
No,
but I kind of want to check it out.
You definitely have to. For sure. Yeah, population's like 3,000 people, so it's a small town, but there's stuff to do.
Cool. I'll hear that.
No, and that's important to note. So in Clown Motel, obviously we're telling a story. Like there's actually a story being told. It's kind of like it's set at the Clown Motel. And now we're 3 parts in, so I guess if you could tell us from the very beginning to now, what have you learned from making that first film to now bring us a third installment?
Okay, so then we had the first film, which came out in 2019. Before that, we had the pilot film in 2015. So, we shot that on $15,000 budget and like, hey, can we make this into a feature? And from there, we just learned the whole process, about the crew cast. We knew about it, but there's always something more to learn, And I mean, each set seems to get bigger, cast gets bigger, crew gets bigger. And you just learn from your past experiences, and there's always a new surprise in one of the films. And even in this one, nothing's going to be perfect, but you got to find the solution.
Yeah. And you've even got the insane clown posse coming by. Is like when I saw that, I'm like, is it Shaggy Too Dope?
Yeah. So that's a strange one. You mean on the IMDb?
Yeah. Is that not real?
No, so that's not. So I'm talking with IMDb right now, and there's another production company who's never done a production in their life, and they put Clown Motel 3 as their production, so it kind of messed with things. And they put Andy Dick, which I actually know Andy Dick, so yeah. But he's not on our film. We never talked to him and stuff. So those 3 aren't on our film right now. So, but we do have a good 25 we announced.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because when I was looking at, I was doing some research on the third one, see what I could find. And I saw that. I was like, whoa, Shaggy Too Dope, Andy Dick, and Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah, no, Ricky would be cool to work with. I know he's in the top 10,000.
Yeah. But I was like, wow, you've come a long way since the first.
But one of the cool things, Joe, one thing I do have to tell you about Clown Motel, though, is, having to go through that process of crowdfunding. And there were some, I got to be honest, the first time I saw the goal, I think it was 50,000 was the very, very first one. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, they'll never hit that. They'll never hit that. But one of the cool things you really did, it's so cool because it's the horror community, right? Like, so you brought in stars like Tony Moran and Ari Lehman, like 2 people like I hadn't really thought much about in the horror space. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are two icons. I didn't even know that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you did that, and now there's even more. Like, so just starting like from that very first teaser, and I'm sorry to refer back to it so much. It's just what I remember so vividly at the time. But you do have some stars connected to the project and the project's past as well.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a horror film, so you're looking for horror characters. And of course, we're bringing back Ari Lehman, the first Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees, Tony Moran, the first Halloween Michael Myers, and then we have some, Eileen Dietz is coming back too from The Exorcist, the original Exorcist. And I'm trying to think who else we announced so far. So I got a call later today with Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's looking good. I'll say that.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it's terrifying, like the whole clown thing. But when you finally start to get into the culture and the horror of it, and when Clown Motel was first coming around, it's just like, oh my gosh, like thinking of all these people put together, like, and honestly, what I remember most from the first film is it seemed like it's not like these people were just paid. It's just like, okay, like Ari Lehman's on set, so he's going to do his thing and then he'll roll out. No, like I saw everybody promoting it. I saw them talking about it. The final product, it looked like everybody wanted to be involved in it.
Oh yeah, and like Ari Lehman on the first feature film, he was with us for the whole shoot. Of course his rate was a little lower back then, so we could afford that. But he was on shoot for like 12 days, and he was only filming like 6-7 days. So the other days he's just wandering around. And Ari Lehman,
it's so cool.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And then also a new one we're going to be working with is Brett Wagner, Leatherface. Kemper Kill, I believe, from 2003. So he had the first kill in Leatherface.
Okay.
Nice.
That'll be a nice one too. And we're going to add something new. Is pretty much we're going to do a whole day of flashbacks with 4 celebrity horror icons. So they have a chance to come on, and we're going to do like, a 6-hour shoot. But then we're going to have 2 teams. So we'll be shooting, 2 teams right there. So that'll be a really busy, crazy day.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But wow, like what a neat, like just stew of classic horror people to bring it together to make a movie. That's so like, I mean, I know we talked about it, but like for anybody who we have listening that's like, oh, I want to get into like a crowdfunding movie, where do you start? Like other than like, I have an idea.
Yeah, well, it always starts with the idea, right? Yeah. And I actually started them in college. back in 2008, 2009. And I was figuring out, how do you go about this? And that's when I got familiar with Kickstarter. And when we first started, we only raised less than $1,000 our first campaign, 20 backers, $700. And from there, we build on. So you keep building. And maybe you start with a short film, but now you have those 20 backers. Let me do a second film. Now you have 40 backers. And every time you could bring those old backers back, the original backers. And Bob Oliver, I had backed me since my second feature film, Bloody Island, before Clown Motel.
Wow. Yes, blood, and Bob Oliver. All right, so you brought up Bob, so it's okay. It's fair game to talk now. So Bob is a Bucks County resident, and he played Crank the Clown. So I don't want to give anything away. So Crank's story continues 3 parts in.
Yeah. So great and late Bob Oliver. So he was actually on the short film as well. I'm not so sure if you saw that, but he was in a clown mask. So he wasn't Crank. He was just a regular clown coming through the graveyard, one of our 3 clowns. But yeah, Bob was in all 2 films. He did great. He led the clowns into battle. And I'm hoping to find some footage we haven't used yet and put it in the 3rd film and tie him in some way, some aspect, somehow.
No, but Josie, you brought up something very important. So with this crowdfunding thing, I mean, you've been a part of campaigns before as well. But with Clown Motel and, kind of its journey along, what are some of the... so how do you make it interesting, I guess, for people to back it? Like, what are some of the things they can do this time around? So, like, for example, I backed Clown Motel 1 and I got a signed
DVD, of course.
Yeah.
And one thing I actually like, because this is the first time we're doing a full campaign on Indiegogo versus Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Indiegogo, they have a pre-launch. So do a pre-launch 3 months to 6 months in advance. People sign up with their email, so that's another way. Now you have those potential, backers, supporters, and all that. But anything from signed DVDs to doing a trilogy, a box set, to actually we're working on Clown Hotel, a documentary making of Clown Motel. So we're hoping to combine that in the 3rd one and get all the behind-the-scene footage and all the crazy stuff. But, we're always looking for new ways to come up with different perks, props, and, even when we ask the fans, what do you guys like? Because we can't think of everything, so.
How much time have you spent in Tonopoh now? if you could enumerate it, it seems like quite a while, right?
Where's that, in Tonopoh?
Tonopoh, that's it. Sorry, Tonopoh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Second home.
I don't know. I mean, total time, it's probably been a few months, but broken up, I've written the second script. I just stayed like 2 weeks there and just wrote the whole script. And that's the best sometimes, too, with writing scripts, just getting away from everything and just being like, okay, I need to write because
you lock yourself away in the Clown Motel.
Yeah.
To write Clown Motel. Yeah, no. I mean...
And start seeing things. Was that a clown?
Yeah. You lock in the sort, at the inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Great setup.
Definitely helps.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Jeez, Joe.
Yeah.
No. So Joe Kelly, I don't know where you are. In the Philly area, it's very, very warm right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, so I was in California for the last over a decade, 12 years, but I actually just recently moved to the East Coast. I'm in Florida right now.
All right.
So, yep, enjoying this nice weather.
Yeah. So we can't complain about heat if he's in Florida.
I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's a different animal down there. So, yeah.
But, yeah, it's crazy, though, man. You have to bring it from writing it to, directing, hiring the actors, producing the film. I mean, you wear a lot of hats with this. Would you say that Clown Motel has been the most, I don't want to say fruitful, but I guess appreciated by you in your body of work, or does something else come to mind?
No, I guess so. I definitely think with our fans, followers, they like the Clown Motel. It's the most followed out of all of our films so far. And if you have something, pretty successful, just build it up more. That's what Terrifier 1 did. Now look at Terrifier 2 and 3. So we're just hoping to get to that next level. And we're bringing on Joe Castro for special effects. So we should really get to that level with the special effects in this one.
Very cool. Very cool. And So your approach, say, going into making Clown Motel is you start with the script, like, so you go hide off, go to the Clown Motel, write the script, and then next step will be, do you go on to the casting from there?
Yeah.
Or do you go on to the funding?
Kind of different with this one because, it's a sequel. So pretty much you have half the cast already returning, or the cast.
Yeah.
And then you always have new positions as well. But yeah, with script writing, we have to do that process. But usually I'll start off with 5 pages of guidelines. And then I just have to fill it in, A to Z, how does it end? And then just all the dialogue and all that. But yeah, it's a process for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just like hearing people's methods to how they craft, because it's art. So, how does your paintbrush go to the canvas? Like,
And then fundraising's a whole nother aspect to it too. And, we did have an offer, which was $250,000 for Clown Motel 3. The problem would be, it'd be a complete buyout. Mm-hmm. So we do have a mild investor coming in for a decent amount, which is pretty much we could almost make the film right now where we're at. But, with the Indiegogo, it helps us more. And we're hoping to have about the same thing, about a $200,000 to $250,000 budget when all said and done.
Wow. Now, will that be the highest budget of the 3 films?
Yes, because Clown Motel 1, I believe we did that on about $70,000 to $80,000. Clown Motel 2 is about $140,000 to $150,000.
Wow.
So, yep.
It's like
that'd be the highest.
Nice. Congratulations. Because that's...
My credit card doesn't say congratulations.
No, I'm sure it doesn't.
Well, no, but it's cool though, because with the Red River Horror audience, it's a different audience. Not everybody might be aware, and that's why I was really excited to talk to you and why I reached out a little while ago. Because it's such a cool, I don't know if you remember a lot of the hype surrounding Death House. Do you remember that film from a few years ago?
Death House. Yep. Tony Moran was in that too. Keen Hodder, Tony Todd. So they had I think 10 or 15 names. It was pretty big. I mean, I actually went to the premiere of that. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No.
But then I think they had distribution. They were supposed to do a sequel. They waited a few years for distribution. Netflix finally picked them up. So they were on Netflix for, I think, a year. And no sequel ever came out of that, but they just had a lot of names. And, we're doing the same thing too, but there's a thing where you get so many names and you got to cap it off. You don't want 80% of your budget going to names, Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You say, okay, 30% of your budget, if that, and make sure the talent's worth it too. I mean, all the talent's worth it. I love to give new actors a chance too. But then you got to think, if I'm bringing someone on for $2,000 a name, I'm like, okay, can she triple, quadruple that in distribution or with investors? And we talk about horror like a horror film, but for this one, we're also trying to bring out a few names outside of the horror field, including Eric Roberts and Jenna Jameson.
Hey, all right.
There's your box office right there.
Just having her alone's gonna, she still has a very strong faithful following, even though she hasn't done the adult work in forever.
Oh yeah. So she gave us a good deal on the last one I produced with Sean Phillips and Nicole Vegas, Skate to Hell. So she did a cameo in that one.
Cool.
So unfortunately, she's a little more in this one. So we're just going back and forth right now. But I think chances are looking pretty good.
And Eric Roberts, I always feel like he does have an appreciation for indie and independent films. You see him, I know he's in a lot of things, but I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to interview him, but I feel like he does have just a passion for the art of filmmaking, no matter how big, how small. I mean, the guy was in the freaking Dark Knight. You know what I mean?
Dark Knight. And I think he just did one with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not sure which one that was. There was some movie that had a big budget over the last year, but he'll just go back and forth too. He's okay with doing big films and going to, as you said, indie films.
Yeah. Well, there's an old adage saying, was it one for the paycheck, one for fun, and one for the art?
Yeah.
I've heard a few actors say that. That was Xander Berkeley that said that. When I spoke with him.
That's right.
You can even go as far as a guy like Will Ferrell does that. He'll just pop up in a random smaller feature. It's been a while, but he has in the past.
Interesting.
Yeah. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a craft.
Eric Roberts, Jenna Jameson, we can look out for. So I guess that's the next point. So we're here to talk about Clown Motel 3. Is that the official title? Is that what we're...
Yeah, so it's actually Clown Motel Threesome with Jenna Jameson. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect setup. Perfect.
Sergeant Kelly, Clown Motel, 3 Ways to Hell.
Folks, I promise.
It's got a good flow.
I didn't know that coming into this. I knew we were hoping to make some kind of news. I didn't know we were talking threesomes with Jenna Jameson. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. Don't let her agent know.
We'll keep that on the DL.
Yeah.
So Clown Motel 3 Ways to Hell is going to be the name of the third installment. So, time must have been flying by a little bit, and you're already on the third film.
Yeah, I mean, for first one, 2019, we released. Second one, we pretty much finished, and it was a limited release in 2022, and we're taking it back, figuring out what to do with distribution, and we're not sure if we're going to do Amazon for a limited release and wait for the third film, because then we'll have the rights back to the first one as well and keep the rights to the second and just kind of release all 3 at the same time with, maybe Lionsgate, who we were talking to before, or some other distribution company and stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
And because that's the thing. I just want to make sure that everybody, by the time 3 comes out, they can see the first 2. That's what I definitely want to drive people there.
Oh, definitely. So luckily, Clown Motel 1, they actually took down for some reason on Amazon and Tubi. I asked my distribution company, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we'll get it back up. So it's 6 months later, but it's finally back on Tubi TV and Amazon.
Perfect, because I love Tubi. It's weird.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
Tubi's great.
It's like the biggest. It's probably not a hidden gem anymore, but I feel like that's the best, like the worst kept secret in entertainment.
We did a whole episode dedicated to Tubi.
Yeah, I guess we did.
Just can you believe this? This is the way to go. Stop spending your money. They got it down.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, Tubi's great, and they pay more than Amazon Video on Demand too. Or not video on demand, streaming.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Yep.
Someday. But no, let's step away from Clown Motel for a minute, Joseph. Let's get into what got you into wanting to do horror movies. Like, was that always the direction you wanted to go, or did it just kind of fall in your lap?
Yeah, no. So, I've been filming since, little tad, like 12 years old or whatever in school and stuff. And I didn't get into horror films until I was like 14 or 15. And then out of college, in college, I'm like, what film should I do? I could do a romance, a comedy, but, I thought horror was the one that sold the most and, one I found interest in and I could do different, things with. So I thought horror would be a great fit. And we started with community service back in 2008, did the sequel to that with Bloody Island. And actually, Mindy Robinson was in that, who's in Clown Motel 2 and 3. Sean Phillips was in that, along with Steven Cena, who is John Cena's older brother, and Curtis Hughes, who is a WWF wrestler. And we shot that one at Amusement Park, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Always loved horror. I'm thinking of getting out of it soon, but I'll always go back to it. I got another like 3-4 horror films lined up, but then we'll see after that.
Yeah, you got to spread your wings, fly, try something else, and you can always come back. Like,
Go to adult films.
Yeah. Which horror movies really gave you the inspiration, though, to move forward? What were the ones that were just like, these are the reasons why I like horror?
Yeah, well, Ring was actually one of my first horror films. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I actually went to the movie theater and it said Rings PG-13, and I thought it was a movie about a wedding or something, like a comedy wedding, but it wasn't. It was Rings, the girl coming out of the TV at the well and stuff. Yeah. And it was kind of like a mystery kind of horror and like, so that just with that and watching, Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers on the TV. And then later on, you see little Chucky.
Yeah. They're so much fun, but that's hilarious. You went into the Ring blind, and then next thing you know,
exactly,
there's a girl climbing out the TV.
I'm like looking around, like, am I in the right movie?
Yeah. Wow. So that interests me though. So I guess you want to step away from horror eventually? Any reason? Any just to try something else? To do
no
something?
reason. I just want to expand, my directing or my other films and see what I'm capable of and stuff. Like if I did like a romance, it would have to be like a comedy romance. I have like a Native American script. HBO wanted to buy it back in 1970. Of course, I wasn't alive then, but I currently have the rights to it. And I'm like, well, it would be a really cool 1775 history piece, but you need like $3 million and $4 million for that one.
Yeah. Wait, so you acquired a script that was like written in 1970?
Correct.
Or you wrote it? Wait, so how did that come about?
So one of my friends, Cheryl in Rochester, New York, her dad wrote it back in 1960, 1970, based on a true story and stuff. And HBO wanted to buy it for, I believe it was like $50,000 back at the time, but wanted to change, too much creative control. And unfortunately, the father passed away, so Cheryl got the rights to the script. And she's not in the film industry, and she knows I'm the only one that is. And we worked out something, and I would bring her on board as like a top producer and all that if I ever did get it made. And that's my goal. And a cool fact is too, with that movie, not Red River Horror.
That's us.
Damn right. That'd be a great film.
That's a great one. What was it? I think it was called The White Lady in the Lake or something like that. It was like Native Americans and all that. But one of the girls, American girls, he wanted the girl who played, who was it? Totally blanking right now. That Scream Queen movie, Carrie. So the original
Sissy
Spacek.
I think so. Original Carrie. And then it was strange because I never knew that. And then when I read the script, I was like, I could picture Chloe Garcia, right? She was the second.
Chloe Grace Moretz. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could picture her, but then I'm like, hey, I could see her as this character. And she's like, that's strange. I saw, my dad saw the other Carrie. I'm like, that is strange.
About that. I have my fingers and toes crossed that this happens because that would be such a great story of a script getting produced that way. Like, going from 1969, 1970 to being handed off and
it's so much different too, how they used to do those scripts. It's like paragraphs and paragraphs, versus how it is structured today. It just changes over time, like with video editing or anything else.
Was it like just a lot more narrative or a lot more description of like landscape? Like you really have to, you're writing a book at that point.
Yeah. It's like a mixture between a script and a novel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause whenever I do any screenwriting, it's like, keep it as succinct as possible. Like just keep to the lines. It's like, here's what's happening and go.
Oh yeah.
So probably use a little work, but I haven't put in too much effort lately. So, but hey, there's always time, right?
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're at this point. How can people help? How can people be helpful to get 3 Ways from Clown Motel, 3 Ways from Hell, which rhymes, by the way. Haha. How can they help get that made?
Of course. So Clown Motel, 3 Ways to Hell. First, we're the biggest on Facebook, social media. And then next, we're on Indiegogo on our Clown Motel page, Indiegogo. And you can get any perk from DVD or scripts to being an associate producer for $400 to right now we're doing deals where people could get killed by Leatherface or be an exorcist for like $700. So really cheap to get people into the film. Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Sweet.
Facebook and Indiegogo. Josie, did you have any more questions?
I mean, the only other questions I have is when I talk to a fellow person who's named Joseph is like, is that your preferred or are you a Joe outside of this?
Yeah.
What Joes are off limits? What's like?
So how do you Joe?
Yeah. How do you utilize your Josephness?
Yeah. I get that question a little bit too. And I'm like, Joseph professional, Joe friend, but it really doesn't, matter to me. Both's the same. If you're a cute girl, call me Joey. Sure.
Yeah. So I've been I guess my wife does, but it's like before that, I was very anti-Joey. There's only one person that ever called me Joey until I met my wife. So she gets to do it, my mother-in-law. But that's Eddie. Eddie's always thrown that one at me. Not all the time, but he throws a Joey. I think my brother started doing it too. I don't know. This is getting out of hand.
But
It's time to cut it down.
Yeah, but you know, when you're younger, you're more casual. Now it's just like, oh, like now we have to worry about these things. Like, so I say Josie or Joseph or whoever. Like, I'm sure I slipped up a bunch throughout this podcast. You know, I don't know how they always say that 2 Eds are better than one. I don't know what the hell to do with 2 Joes.
Well, what is that TV show? Ed and Eddie?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I throw this out there. I get JoJo a lot too, so that's
and Mojo Jojo.
There's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you get a lot of the what do you knows. But, yeah, so, Joe, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it has been awesome getting to talk about Clown Motel, 3 Ways to Hell. So hopefully we can, once it's out, Eddie and I will discuss it on here because looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. And we're expecting summer 2025 release. So this should be our tightest one ever where, we start production in August 2024 and a 1-year turnaround with all post-production. So it's going to be very tight, but we're going to plan for it.
You're going to be a busy guy.
Yeah.
That's Joseph Kelly. That's one of the things I just admire the hustle, man. I remember I was literally trying to kick Red River Horror off at the same exact time as Clown Motel. And you were an inspiration early on to keep going, to just like, yes, like I'm doing the right thing, keep going, keep moving. And it was just a joy kind of seeing that film get made, kind of be connected to it and close to it in the very, very beginning. So now I'm glad it's like turned into a franchise. That's really cool.
Oh, definitely. And with anything, with the film or a podcast or a website, we just keep building it and stuff, keep, growing our followers, our fans, and yeah, sky's the limit, right?
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Cool. So Eddie, you got anything?
I don't. Just if you can, the Facebook thing YouTube thing has been going off, man. We're getting some trailers up there. We have some abandoned explorations up there. Now I'm thinking, the Clown Motel's not abandoned, but the cemetery there is. So maybe we should go to that cemetery and just see what's up.
I think we need to get out there.
They're talking about doing another episode of Ghost Hunters there too, with Zach.
Really?
Yep.
I think that for me, I'd probably be most scared of the wildlife as opposed to the clowns and the cemetery. Like, what are we dealing with out there? Actually, yeah, so I did have another question. I'm sorry. Are we dealing with scorpions? Are we dealing with big spiders, snakes, obviously? Like, what's the worst thing you've seen shooting the Clown Motel films?
Yeah, we've been, and we shot in Henderson, Nevada also. That's where we shot the cave scenes, So we've seen bats in there.
Ooh.
Never really seen any snakes and stuff. And Tonopoh, Nevada could get cold too, like where you guys are. Snow, but nothing creature-wise. The scariest thing was probably when the police came on us.
Well, now we got to hear about that.
Yeah.
Now you can't go anywhere, Joseph.
Oh, no.
What happened?
One more anecdote from the world of film.
Yeah, no, this was in the short film Clown Motel. We had our one big actor who was like a bodybuilder, 270. He was dressed in a clown costume, and the local police were driving by, and they didn't know we're shooting a film there. And this was like very independent, like guerrilla style, 5-person crew.
Yep.
And then next thing we know, there was like 4 or 5 cop cars pulling up and stuff. They're like, oh, we're just shooting a movie and stuff. And they're like, we want to see the guy. Where is he? And he had to pull off his mask and do all this stuff.
Oh, man. So it's funny. So now I if we can relate Red River Horror to the first Clown Motel film, my college project, I had a video production course in college, and we had to make a final project, and it was like a movie. So we had to throughout the whole year, we had to do a treatment. We had to do whatever the next step after that is, and then we had to the script, right? Treatment, script, and then film it, and then they would see the final product. So we were filming. Obviously, we didn't have permits. We didn't know anything. There's just this one place near us, Manor Road. It's just outside of Philadelphia. Literally, it's like the city line. So Manor Road, we're back there. We park the car. Everybody gets out. It's like a clown car because we had all the actors and the cops. Cool. And all we see, so we're filming in the middle of this abandoned house structure. Probably, Joe, that house has to be like 1700s or something, right?
Yeah, it's an old mill house.
Oh yeah.
So it's probably two 200
so
plus.
You were actually inside the house?
We were. So
Yeah.
we made that. So we parked toward the end and then made the trek to this house. And the next thing we see in the doorway is a flashlight. And we're like, oh my God, like, what is that? And luckily it ended up being the cops. But then the cops, to be fair, they didn't do anything. They were cool. They let us go, but they tried to scare the crap out of us in the meantime.
Oh, really? Yeah. Those late night cops.
So they had some fun with it. Yeah. It was a good time. And then they're just like, yeah, this is actually on, someone owns the land up that hill. So it's technically theirs. So you gotta get out of here.
Right.
Yeah. That was our first taste of making a film.
Yeah. Guerrilla style too, just real quick. Clown Motel, the first film, I don't know if you've seen that, but we had a Las Vegas scene. So the girls are in Las Vegas and stuff. And of course I don't have, permits or anything to go in Caesar's Palace and film. So I literally had my little DSLR camera, and it was just me with 4 girls just walking around, just, filming, and that was it.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at that small level, it's just so much fun. I'm sorry, I got to bring this up before it loses my memory because this is a good story. It was just Eddie and I. So there's your crew. So Eddie's on the camera. I'm at the table, and I'm being, he's supposed to be a police officer interrogating me. He's questioning me, and it opens with like a light, and he's just like, we're doing the dialogue, and then he's supposed to send me a picture of what's supposed to be a mutilated body.
Oh, okay.
And he slides it across the table. He's just like, then look at this, and I flip it, and it's like an infant's baby picture.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Like the biggest smile.
I think that's our first blooper.
Yeah, I mean, you were cracking up. It was.
I lost it.
What do you think of this?
Yeah. What do you think of this?
That's an ugly. No.
Oh man, but anyway, so where I was going with that, we have so much up on the YouTube channel now, Joe. Trailers, obviously the podcast. We are doing the YouTube Shorts thing. So if you can, give us a like, subscribe, anything you can do on YouTube. We're packing it more with content every day. Well,
Joseph Kelly, we appreciate you so much for joining us here on Red River Horror. It's been episode number 109, and remember, check out Clown Motel 3 is the Hell on Indiegogo. Remember, you can find us on redriverhorror.com and all of our socials at Red River Horror. And remember to keep traveling those channels of fear.